coaching in the front line is absolutely fundamental. And as leaders, we need to invest in our frontline managers to make sure they know how to coach, not cater. Because anybody can say, so Alex, 10 meetings, you've done 5. Pull your socks up or you're out. That doesn't work, right? That gives you a little bump and then an exit of your sales organization.
You've led a lot of sales teams. What's the most important thing, in your opinion, for leading a team?
A couple of things I'm going to say, and no particular order, but coaching, right? Coaching is absolutely fundamental, and I'll go into a bit more detail. Cadence or drumbeat is absolutely important, and training. And then I'd probably add another one, which is culture. So let's talk about those again, in no particular order. And I'll start with cadence and drumbeat because this is kind of what everybody understands and it's easy. So it's the idea that you need to set a very clear agenda or a very clear understanding of what other elements of high performance and success. So in other words, someone comes into my organization and if they're smart, they'll say, hey, what do I have to do to be successful? Let's say they're not experienced. Or what's your approach to success in this organization? And I'll say, here are the basic cadence elements. In this business, you need to make 8 face-to-face calls a week, or you need to make 50 phone calls, 8 face-to-face calls a week. You need to have 5 times validated pipeline. You need to have 3 times qualified pipeline. You need to have 10 active deals in a quarter, right? You kind of set up some metrics for deals over 50,000 or 5,000 or $50, whatever the scope of the organization. You need to have a sequence of events. You need to have understood what are your key next steps, and you need to be recording that. So these are kind of cadences and metrics that help give people clarity as to what are some of the mechanical basics of what they need to do to be successful. They're the basics, right? Because I can make 10 face-to-face calls a week, but if I don't have core skills, empathy, and listening, then they're going to be 10 useless calls. Or I can call the same guy 10 times a week, and that's also useless. So this doesn't define success, but it gives you a measure, a way of putting data and analytics into success so people know what they need to do. And then, now that you've given a basic framework, then the next thing you need to do is perhaps coaching, right? And so, and depending on how large your organization is, I certainly believe that frontline managers in particular, so the guys that immediately report into the immediate managers of your frontline sales team, really need to be invested in coaching, right? And that is a very difficult skill to master. I can't say that I'm a master. I continue to refine my craft in it because it's really hard. And it's really hard because of one thing. Too often you see someone and you know exactly what they're doing wrong. But if you tell them, then you've failed at coaching, right? There is a moment where you might tell them because they have absolutely no experience, then you got to tell them because they don't have no basis. But to be a true coach, you've got to guide them. You've got to kind of take them to their own answers. Because that way it was more likely to get embedded and they will own the outcome of the action that then follows, right? So coaching in the front line is absolutely fundamental. And as leaders, we need to invest in our frontline managers to make sure they know how to coach, not cater. Because anybody can say, so Alex, 10 meetings, you've done 5. Pull your socks up or you're out. That doesn't work, right? That gives you a little bump and then an exit of your sales organization.
Right.
But you do need to cadence it. You do need to kind of, when you see you've got 10 and this person is consistently doing 5, it's not about why aren't you doing 10? It's like, let's understand what's impacting your ability to hit 10. It may work out that it's the third, and this is a bit of coaching, right? And that will lead to the third thing, which is training, right? Any great sales leader, front line, second line, third line, knows the concept of activity skills pipeline, right? ASP. So yes, activity is make the 10 calls, do the 2 visits, whatever. Pipeline is, yeah, absolutely. Identify and show me that there's an opportunity for you to hit your number. There are different levels of maturity of these deals. But skills, you've got to invest in your people. People don't just come out there. I told you at the beginning of this is a lifelong journey now to become a professional in sales. And at 60, you're still learning. You've got to invest in your people and find those gaps and build those skills. Right? So that's kind of the third dimension. And then we talked about culture. Right? Now, what is it? There's a saying, I think it's something like culture eats skills for breakfast, or culture eats caters.
Culture eats talent.
Talent,
I think.
Yeah,
something like that. It was the guy from Silicon Valley.
There you go.
Teal Mark Andreessen, I think it was, yeah.
You can adapt it to anything you want.
Yeah.
And it's true, right? It's kind of like, when your dad says, oh, don't hang around negative people because all they do is bring you down, right? It's true. It's in an organization, sometimes you have this top salesperson who is just a gun. Everybody's at 100% and she is at 300%, but he's a complete asshole. Pardon my French.
Yes.
Right? That person is a cancer. That person has to go, because that person is impacting the culture of your business and bringing everybody else down. So whilst that in itself doesn't define culture, culture is something that you live and breathe and it develops, right? I mean, of course, you can do it purposefully, but it develops. But culture, a culture of success, a culture of fun, a culture of teamwork, a culture of winning together and losing together, a culture of openness, willing to expose yourself and say, hey, I got this wrong, guys. What did I do wrong? Here's what I did. Help me, someone, right? That culture, and I believe that's a culture of success and high performance, that is more impactful than anything else. Because what it does, it makes the top performers bring the bottom performers up, right? And it makes the bottom performers want to push themselves up. And it makes it fun, and it makes it, therefore, you don't have this peak of performance that just goes like this. It gets you more sustained performance. And then, more importantly, it resonates in the market. You can build your talent bench, and you've always got a good supply of people to want to join your business because you've got such a great culture.
Yeah, awesome. You spoke about cadence, but did you speak about the drum beat, or is that the same thing? Is cadence and drum beat the same thing?
Yeah. People use it interchangeably.
Okay, cool. Because I wrote them as separate points.
No, sorry. So I mean, look, sometimes we use drum beat more to refer to the end of month or end of quarter pursuit on a deal. So, for example, we know, not because we want it to happen, but because the client has indicated, hey, we're looking to procure at the end of the month or by the 20th of this month. And then we need to sit back as a team, build a sequence of events to that date, and then establish a drum beat, which is kind of like, depending on the size of the deal, the complexity or whatever, daily or twice weekly or 3 times weekly stand-ups, 15 minutes where you build a drum beat. So, okay, what's happening? What's next? What's the next step? What have you done? What have you done? Okay, so we keep the momentum, energy levels up on the actual deal. But it's part of your cadence process. It's kind of like, you made the call, you did the follow-up, you wrote the contract, you got legal review, you called the client, right? These are all part of your metrics anyway. So there is a correlation between it.